Well, it is Love Month, and we do want to celebrate relationships, and the marriage relationship ought to be celebrated. Not everybody is unhappy in marriage. Many people are very, very happy. I found a few of those people that are happy in marriage. I found those who just got married, and the next couple Sundays you'll hear people that have been happy for 25 or 30 years, and then the last Sunday you'll hear about somebody who's been happy for about 63 years in marriage. But today, Emily Jane Donegan, we're surprising her husband. Can we get a camera up there? Can we get a camera on that guy up there he's always got that blank look anyway, but can we get him up there, up that way? Stand up. You're proud of your wife, newly married man. All right. Your wife loves being married. She's going to tell us why.
I even wore my taller heels. Good morning. I am Emily Head Donegan. I'm the daughter of Bill and Margaret Head and the new bride to Jeremy. We are probably the newest married couple in the church. We were married right here September 13th, 2008. So we're almost 5 months into it. Pastor John asked me a few weeks ago to share reasons why I love Jeremy. And I don't know how to I know I don't have as much experience as some of you, but I would like to share with you my journey. Throughout college years and thereafter, I started praying for my husband. My parents probably prayed a lot harder than I did. There were many times that I grew frustrated and discouraged watching all of my girlfriends meet and marry their husbands. I wondered why the Lord hadn't shown me my soulmate. One of my favorite verses is Jeremiah 29, and I tend to make them my own by saying, "For I know the plans I have for you, Emily Jane, plans to give you hope and a future." Lucky for me, I was brought up in church and knew that the Lord did have someone special for me. I knew He had my future planned. The trick was for me to be patient and have faith. As I talked with my parents many frustrated evenings, I would ask why I have not met the one for me. They would tell me, maybe you're not ready. Maybe the Lord is still preparing Jeremy's heart for you. It's truly amazing to me how the Lord works and how He opens doors. I was a nurse in the neurointensive care unit at Vanderbilt for 6 years when I applied to go to anesthesia school. I was accepted and set to start in July. On the other side of Nashville, the Lord was working on Jeremy Donegan, who was also accepted to start anesthesia school in July. We met July 24th, 2006 for the first time. Our first day of class, we all had to stand up and introduce ourselves in front of everybody. And I remember Jeremy had these crystal blue eyes and a beautiful smile. At the end of the day, our dean asked if somebody wanted to lead us in a closing prayer, and Jeremy volunteered. And I knew right then he was somebody I wanted to get to know. September 29th, Jeremy proposed after asking Dad for his blessing, and a year later we were married. I love Jeremy because, number one, the Lord chose him for me. I love him, number two, because Jeremy is a Christian. Number three, he loves me no matter what my faults are, and he still thinks I'm great. I know that Jeremy will take care of me one day and the rest of my life, and that says a lot because he has huge shoes to fill. Jeremy is a big family guy, and you can tell how somebody loves you and your family by how they treat their family. Jeremy is very compassionate, he's hardworking, and he never gives up. He stays positive, and he loves the Tennessee Vols. We've been through a lot in our short time of dating, and especially our little 5 months of being married. He knows just what to say, how to hold me, and how to lift us both up in prayer. He will never know how grateful, blessed, and truly thankful I am that the Lord allowed me to be a part of his life. In closing, I could not have picked a more perfect husband, soulmate, best friend, future father, and lover. Obviously, the Lord knows what He's doing. My message may not be appropriate for all of you who have been married for many, many years, but maybe for the youth in the college. Start praying now for your husband or your wife. I know it's tough to be patient, believe me. But I can honestly say that if I had to do it all over again, I would wait 30 more years just to receive the Lord's blessing of Him choosing Jeremy for me. He is the man of my dreams.
Now with that, let's talk about conflict. That inevitable force that comes into every relationship. It will help if you follow your notes. We need to be Christians in conflict. And we have to be, we can be, godly in conflict. We have to learn. There needs to be rules of engagement. You have heard there are two things that are sure in life, death and taxes, but in the Bible there are a few folks that haven't died, and I keep hearing about people who don't pay taxes. But the one thing I can tell you that is most sure is conflict. Conflict is absolutely essential. Mom and Dad, you have to learn how to deal with your own conflicts, with each other in marriage, with your children in parenting, sibling to sibling, neighbor to neighbor, worker to worker. It starts on the playground or before. We have to learn how to deal with conflict. And the home is really the proving ground. The home is the extended boot camp for conflict resolution. We have to learn it there. We will sin in our homes and we will be sinned against. There will be tons of opportunities to resolve conflict. And really the question this morning is, how do we cope with conflict? How will we cope with conflict? There are really three ways, general ways, that people deal with conflict today. They either clam up, they're quiet. They're very, very quiet, sometimes for long periods of time. Some people call this the cold shoulder. You either clam up or you blow up. Kablooey. The old saying is true, the cheapest real estate in the world is the real estate next to a volcano. Nobody wants to be around something that blows up. And by the way, those blower-uppers know they're sinners. Sometimes the clamor-uppers don't think they are. Let me just say from the beginning, if you clam up and you shut down and you turn cold, that is the sin of refusing to reconcile. And so I'm going to try to pick on everybody this morning. Are you a clamor-upper, a blower-upper, or are you one that seeks to resolve conflict? Maybe you're a little bit of both. Scriptures are full of conflict. People that get sideways with one another. And sometimes they resolve it and sometimes they do not. And though the sermon is called Conflict is Common in Marriage, I think this also needs to be said. The longer you are married, conflict should diminish, should become less common, should become manageable, and your conflict should become a platform for deeper love and commitment. I think you can love people deeper because of the things you've gone through. Matter of fact, people that have been married a long time, they say, they look at each other and they'll sit and they'll talk and they'll reminisce, and hopefully we still date our wives. We still take them on dates and still dote on them. And they'll say, look what we've been through. And that forges strength in marriage. God works those conflicts out for good, and your marriage is stronger and deeper, not weaker and bleaker. We've got to get this message out to the world that marriage is great. It's tough. You will get out of it what you put into it. Last week I talked about how critical it is for men not to have abuse of power. God has given us authority, and we need to make sure we yield that authority to our master, and we love our wives the way he commands us to. And yet all people need to be submissive. And today I hope everybody is listening carefully. We'll have a time before communion where we can say, God, forgive us for the way we handle conflict. Matter of fact, one of the best things that can happen in most marriages is simply this: sitting across the table from your wife and saying to her, there's something I need to ask you to forgive me for. That is something that doesn't happen, I hear, in my counseling times. I hear that doesn't happen very often. I hear women being much more forgiving than men, and I don't know if that's true. I have a tendency to believe it. That men just have a hard time saying they were wrong and they're sorry. I hope that's not true of you. You want to know if it's true of me? Ask my wife. Doesn't really matter what I say, does it? In 1 Peter 3:7, we're learning about pillars, learning about 5 things. We'll talk next week about these 5